In just a few moments, you're going to hear from my friend Stephanie McConnell, who is an amazing educator, an assistant superintendent, an author, and a speaker. She is incredible, and we dive into all of it. Her and I actually recorded this one the last year, but we know you guys are going to love it. So stay tuned for the next episode of the School Success Podcast.
Hey! Time for school!
I'm here with a new friend out of awesome East Texas, as you'll hear from in just a second, this beautiful accent that Stephanie has. But we're going to dive in. She is an educator. She is a principal. She is a speaker. She has an online course. She is pretty much the jack of all trades in the form of education, but she's awesome at it. And so you guys are going to dive in, and we're going to have fun. But I'll first, before I do that, let Stephanie introduce herself. Stephanie, how are you today?
I'm doing great. I'm so excited to join the podcast tonight and get to meet everyone.
It's going to be fun. And I'm just going to go ahead and dive right in. Let's let you tell me about your school. I know you still are in of course, the school world as well as speaking. And I know you just mentioned you were in California before we hopped on the podcast. So tell me, what school are you at and what's the day-to-day life look like for Stephanie McConnell?
Well, I am actually no longer the principal of the school. I am the assistant superintendent. And so I am located in a district called Hawkins ISD. It's in East Texas, not too far from Tyler and a couple of hours from Dallas. So each day is a little different for me. I work on campuses with principals and teachers doing curriculum and instruction areas. Last year, I happened to actually be the superintendent of the school and decided after that 1 year that was not in the right seat for me. And it was things that, doing activities and tasks that were not something that I enjoyed every day. I absolutely love working with students and teachers and in that leadership role. And as a superintendent, you find yourself more in the central office all the time. And I needed to make sure that I was still on campus just because I love being around kids and the teachers as well. So that's kind of how my day is like.
I love it. And I'm curious, what is the day-to-day life for an actual superintendent? I know you mentioned being an assistant, but for that whole year, what does a day-to-day look like for a superintendent?
It's managing every aspect of a school, but it is mainly just problem solving of the whole district, dealing with personnel issues. And of course, last year I was challenged with all the COVID protocols in place. And we were going after a bond for our school to do renovations. And so I led up that and had to just make sure that we did okay in that. And we publicized that and had all the stakeholders and, just all the information to all the community so that they could make a great decision on the behalf of our kids so we can make some renovations. So all of that, just on top of just every aspect of being a superintendent, the budget, the finance, the just taking care of everything, the school board meetings and things like that. It was something that I think I did okay and I did well as what everybody has said. But it's just not something that I want to continue to do year after year. So that's why I asked at the end of the last year if I could switch over out of the superintendent seat and down, take a different position so that I can work directly with teachers and principals.
Man, and kudos for you for not just sticking with you got to the top, I guess, so to speak, in terms of education, and you were like, man, I don't like this, to go down, I guess, to do what you actually loved, and not just go, well, I made it, I'm a superintendent, but you didn't just stick with it. So that in and of itself is awesome and speaks to who you are as a person. So I'm glad you did that. For the superintendent, I'm assuming a lot of pressure comes along with that, of course, of being a leader and the head of a district. Is there times when, because I've heard this from school board members that I've met before, where they have been called out at filling up their car with gas, be like, hey, why are you doing this to the district and blah, blah. and they like are worried. I was like, oh, I can't imagine. I don't even know. I know one of our school board people in my area, but did that happen with you as well? Like being a superintendent, you're filling your car with gas, you're out getting food with your family at the restaurant, and they're like, hey, why are you, especially with COVID stuff, like did that happen? Is there a lot of like public pressure on you when you were in that position?
There's absolutely a lot of pressure, but I did feel 100% supportive by my community and by my school board. And I also made sure that I made decisions that I knew that may not be favorable for everyone, but at the end of the day, it was what's best for kids. And so I will always sleep well at night knowing that I made a decision that was best for kids and not always what's best for the adults. Or what's easiest for the adults, because I could take an easy road, or I can just take what I know is going to be best for our students, and that's exactly what I did. Nobody ever called me out, face to face. It's easy to call somebody out on social media and behind the computer screen, but for the most part, this community was very supportive of me and continues to be, and so I'm very thankful for where I am.
Oh, love it. And so you have now assistant superintendent, and you're running your business with which I'd love you to just, again, we'll kind of dive into that next, for the principals, and you have your huge Facebook group, you're speaking, you have the course online. So how do you juggle both of those, and what does that look like? Where I'm assuming as assistant superintendent, it's still very demanding. In my head, I would picture it's a very demanding job, so but you're still juggling all these others. So what does that look like?
Right. So to be an assistant soup, you're working on curriculum instruction with teachers, and it's definitely a different role. But I'm a workhorse, so I feel like I am there from the first one there and the last one to leave kind of attitude, and just working with everyone. But there, it comes with accountability, because you want to make sure your campus or your district is performing well, and plus, not just for that, but you want your students to get exactly what they need every day, and so it's my job to make sure that happens. As far as my business side, how I manage that is I get up very early in the morning, sometimes 2, 3 in the morning, and I work before I go to work on campus at 7. And then after I get off, I work until 8:30 or 9 at night. And so that's kind of just, I put the hours in before and after. I also work every weekend, Saturdays and Sundays. And then when we have holidays, most people are out enjoying the lake life and and having a great time, but I utilize those days to really push forward and get ahead in things, so that maybe I could sleep into 4:30 or 5 like some people might get to do, but that's kind of my day. I'm up very early in this spot right here, and then I get here just as soon as I get off work. I sit back down in this seat in my office at home, and continue to push out content.
Man, and so for your course, I know you have, I think, is it 3 different courses on your website?
I have definitely 2 that I monitor and push out. I also have, I wrote a book last year and opened my own publishing company, so it helps me to publish the books. And here it is, if anybody can see it. It's Win Time. So I have that, and of course I monitor all my social media channels and help bring value to other school leaders that are out there.
Man, and so speaking going and speaking at events as well to school leaders?
Absolutely. I totally forgot about that. Yes. So I take on some speaking engagements. My school comes first. I try not to miss a lot of work, but there's maybe once a month that I'll go and speak. I limit that just because of the travel time, just because you might sign up to speak somewhere, say like I was out in California, and then you're wind up out of the district for a couple of days because of the travel between there. So I really take that into consideration, how much time I'm off and away doing this. But it is something that I love to do, and they, the district knows that comes a part of me.
And those things you speak on, are they specifically on how to run a school effectively, leadership? Is there different ways to connect with students?
Absolutely. It's mainly about improving student outcomes. And so I speak on ways that we could make sure our students grow, and how also we can be effective leaders, because I know the number one factor of how students do in school is the teacher. And so if we grow our teachers well, then our students will grow as well. But the number two factor in that is the school leader. And so your school is only as great as the principal leading that, or the school's leadership in the district. And so I want to make sure that our campuses in Texas or wherever you are has the best leadership available.
Obviously, so true, and I agree with every bit of that. And where do I think I've heard with COVID, I mean, I think even before COVID this happened, but people having a hard time finding teachers and getting teachers to come in. I think specifically earlier this year, I saw a ton of people saying they had a hard time finding math teachers to come in. Where's that issue lying for just that piece of it? And then how do you guys as a district or even a school specifically get teachers to come in? What is the incentive to come to East Texas to be a teacher in the district?
Well, I mean, we have our challenges just like everyone else. We are a small district, and we have a larger district close by. So, they can pay more. So you do have to make sure that you have incentives in your district. We have had a great turnout of teachers this year, and I absolutely love the staff that we have this year. It is amazing. We have a true talent of individuals in the classrooms this year, and I'm so excited about that. And also our administrative staff is one of the best. I'm so excited about all of their talents this year as well. But some of the things we do is just incentivize. We have 403 plans. We have free meals for our staff during the day, so they don't even have to buy lunch. I mean, that may just be very minor, but it is a big deal when you live in a community that doesn't have a lot of restaurants that you can leave and go eat and pick up something. So we are, it's a good driving distance if you want to go through a drive-through. So we just want to make it easy on our teachers. Things like that. We're a small school district, so it feels like a family. And so we capitalize on that. We want everybody to feel that they're part of Hawkins when they are with us.
So good. And where does that shortage, if you guys haven't experienced it firsthand, where does that issue lie across the country for a teacher shortage? And if you don't have an answer, that's fine. I've always been kind of curious where is that rooted from?
I think a couple of things come to mind. When you get specialized in certain fields that require, like chemistry or Spanish class or things like that, when you're very specialized. So if we're hunting for one of those specializations, it's a lot harder to find because there's very few of them. Also, I think searching for different diverse teachers as well. So we want to make sure that our staff population, our staffing matches our student population as well. So we have a diverse staff, and sometimes that's hard as well. So those are the same. I think that's true probably across America. It's just to make sure that, you have the specializations covered and you have a diverse staff. And
now you have these schools that are they're full with students, they're full with teachers. What is the in terms of I guess changing it to the marketing talk now? So if there was a school, do schools, especially public schools, do they need to market their school? And do they have marketing budgets? And if they do, what does that budget go towards? Does it go towards brochures and running a radio ad or doing the football booster stuff. I mean, we're kind of curious of the marketing world when it comes to public schools and how they have that allotted.
I think what you would probably see typically are use of social media, which doesn't cost us anything. But one thing that we have here in Hawkins, we have a billboard, and so we're advertising on the billboard, which is just that we have a great school. We offer these different courses that you might want to enroll your students in. But when we go to job fairs, we set up a booth and we have programs to hand out, and we're out there just like everybody else. And those happen, towards the spring semester, that we'll start marketing really hard and going to job fairs and recruiting staff.
And is that marketing, when you guys do those things, the billboard and all that, is that marketing the district itself, or usually every school's on their own to try and market their school to get teachers and students to come to their school?
Yes, no, you would be marketing just your school district. So we wouldn't be marketing everybody's. We're saying, hey, come to work for Hawkins. This is the place to be, kind of things. You're competing against another school that is close by to get the best teachers.
And so if somebody was to apply, they apply to the district, do you place them at a school you think that you're a good fit for? Or can they say, I want to go to that one over there, that elementary school, not that middle school? Is that how that works? Do they get to pick?
They can apply for any position that we have open that they are certified to teach in. If they are certified in lower grades, they can't apply for upper grade, in high school. They have to fit within their certifications. And so we check those things when they hit apply for those positions. And so that's kind of how that works. And then, say if they pick a range of grade levels, then you just work with them and you have conversations. Which grade level do you feel more comfortable teaching? Things like that. So we want them to have the right fit when we interview them as well. So we typically give them the position that they're trying to go after because that's what they're comfortable in. But that's not always the case. I mean, we can't always say, hey, I need you in this position, but would you be willing to take it? And they can or don't, but typically they usually take the position.
And does the district set up each school with, I guess it'd be from the district down, I would assume, for like communication avenues for parents, for saying, hey, teachers, here's how you can message the parents about homework assignments, where their grades are at? Is there like technology set up for that, or how does that work for your district specifically?
Each teacher can do their own method. There are the normal avenues of that, emails, things like that, and newsletters home, those kinds of things. But some of them have digital ways of using, some, I don't know, just like Google Classroom and ways to communicate with parents that way. But sometimes, just picking up the phone is the best way to do. But that's kind of not being the norm anymore, I guess, because of social medias or iPhones are being so much easier just to pick up the phone and text somebody. But so picking up the phone and calling somebody is a little easy, not as normal as it used to be.
Sure. I feel like I'd be like, my kid's only 2 right now, but if I could imagine in this day and age getting a call me like, what happened? Like if it's a phone call, like I'd be freaking out, like a phone call from the school. And I would love you to chat about your book a little bit. I know you flashed it up on the screen real quick. What is your book about, and how has that journey been from starting a publishing company, writing a book, publishing it? I'll just leave that in your court a little bit to talk about it.
So the book is called Win Time, and it's called, the subtitle is Fearlessly Transforming Your School. It is co-authored by Morris Lyon, and Morris was the superintendent prior to me, and I took his position. Morris went to work for the state, and so that's how I became the superintendent. Well, we decided to write this book together, and it took us 9 months to write it. And what it stands for, Win Time, stands for WIN stands for what I need. And so it's all about building systems for our students to give them exactly what they need during the day. So we have a time of the day where students receive intervention or enrichment time based off of their own data. And so we would print their data, work with the students on that so that they understand their strengths and their weaknesses and give them exactly what they need for a time period of the day. And so what we're doing, our goal is to close the achievement gap, but also, back when I was in school, there was a one size fits all kind of day, when you're in a class and it's a teacher is leading the class and you're sitting there. Well, this is the different style of teaching where you are making sure that even the highest kids grow and continue to stay high. And then you're also moving up the scale on your lower performing students.
And I love that, because I know this a little bit off topic. I know there's so many different styles of teaching and learning, and every student's different. And one of the things we've done so far with our son Milo, who'll be 2 next week, it's hard to believe, is we're doing the Montessori method for education and teaching, and we've really just soaked that up and really enjoyed that. It made sense in our head, I guess. And I wasn't brought up to quote unquote Montessori, even though my mom was very hands-on with I was homeschooled my whole life with my 3 brothers, but just the different ways of talking that are a Montessori way and different things. I'm like, it's so weird because it's just not what I'm used to, but I mean, it's working, but it's just interesting because I think for Milo, I think he learns, how do I word that? He learns that way really well. Like, I can see that the way we're doing it, it's clicking with his brain, it's clicking with what we're doing. I'm like, that's really interesting. And again, not to say other forms aren't good. It's just every student, every kid is so different for how they learn and how they connect with people. Some, of course, are, myself as an hardcore extrovert, and there's some that are introverts. And so I love that you guys are very welcoming to different forms of learning and adapting with them, because that's their best way of getting success, in my opinion, is to be able to not put them in a box and say, this is how we learn. This is exactly how you sit down for 8 hours a day and listen to a teacher talk, and that's exactly nothing else.
Exactly.
Man,
exactly.
That's good.
And that's what it's all about, is getting personalized with your students instead of everybody getting one size fits all instruction during the day, because we just know that that's not going to be beneficial to all students. Some people, like if I was in school, would be fine with that, but there would probably be times in my life, or even subjects that I've faced that are more challenging, that I need a little bit of remediation in the way, along the way too.
Now, I know that we have listeners of the podcast that are in the education field that are tuning in. So you've been in this space for a long time. So I know we could talk for probably hours about advice and resources and everything for teachers and leaders of schools that are listening in. But what would you say what are the biggest hangups that schools have? Like, man, when I've talked to school leaders and all these things, here are the 3 things that come up over and over again that they're struggling with and they need the most help and guidance on. Is there a 3 that you would put your thumb on and go, ooh, it's this one? And it could be maybe, again, engaging with students. It could be connecting with teachers, getting teachers, any of that stuff, or others.
This is a hard question, but some of the things that come to my mind right now are teachers face challenges every single day. They face the challenges of, educating every student from different extremes to the other. And that's challenging in itself. They have behavior issues, they have academic issues, they have, things, home life issues that they can't even, impact, but they can only impact what they can do inside the classroom. They can't change the home life, but they can change how, taking care of them while they're at school. So I think the pressure, the time that they're having to spend on everything, because most teachers don't work just from 7:30 to 4 every day. They're working much longer hours. They don't get paid enough. So I think teachers face many challenges, administrators as well. We face challenges to try to know it all, to try to put something in place that is unfunded mandates by our state, and the pressure to perform, and the accountability measures. It's all a big challenge. I think my best advice is everybody just take one bit of that you can control and just do the best you can with it. I know that's probably just as simple as you can make it, but I think if you sit there and you are so stressed out over all of it, you're never going to be able to impact all of it. So you've got to do what you can do and just face that and be good with it. And that may not be the best way to say it, but that's just the way I say it.
And I will say I have so much respect for teachers and educators because, again, I was homeschooled my whole life, but I look at my mom she homeschooled 4 boys, and I don't know how we didn't die. I mean, we all made it, we all survived, and none of us got into drugs or jail or anything like that. We was like, wow, good job, Mom. And I just think that's 4. And then you got these teachers that for 8 hours a day are dealing with, I don't even know what all they're doing. Every district, every school, every kid is different, and every year it's different if you're staying in. I just have a lot of respect for educators. So anybody listening that's a teacher, man, hats off to you, because that's a lot to ask of somebody 5 days a week just for the actual dealing with the student part of it and teaching them and I'd be exhausted. So kudos to all of you guys listening, and you as well, Stephanie, for being a principal and now assistant superintendent. That's a lot of pressure. That's a lot of responsibility, of course, on your shoulders there in beautiful East Texas. So thank you as well.
Thank you.
So before we end the podcast for today, is there any cool, awesome advice that you would give? I know you just gave one, but anything else in closing you go, man, I wish I knew this when I was a principal, or I wish I had done this when I was a teacher, anything like that you would want to leave anybody listening?
I think it would be just be kind to yourself. I think the pressure and the stress of being an administrator for the last 15 years can weigh on you and weigh on your health. And also just recognize the amount of time that you are taking away from your family, and just make sure that when you are home that you're present and in every way that you can. And I say that knowing that I work probably 18-hour days most days, and I have to tell myself that so that I can push through, because I face so many challenges working 2 full-time jobs, because the business is a big job and being a superintendent or assistant superintendent is a full-time job. So I think it would be give yourself grace and rest, and really be present when you're home.
I can get behind that for sure. I know I find myself being guilty of that. I'm not in the education space, of course, but making sure when I'm done with work, I'm actually there to play with Mr. Milo, who's just wants to play. He just wants to be there and hang out. And if I'm buried into my phone, it doesn't look so good. So
Right.
I totally agree. Well, Stephanie, thank you so much for giving time. I know we were hopping on this call. It's 8:30 here at night my time. I think 7:30 your time, because you're of course working all day long. So thank you for taking time out of your day and your night to hop on this quick podcast. And I wish you nothing but the best in your business, as well as the assistant superintendent. And I know the school year just started, so you got a busy year ahead of you. But thank you again for hopping on the podcast today.
Well, thank you. It's my pleasure.
Well, another huge shout out and a thank you to Stephanie McConnell for taking time to be on the podcast today. And as always, I hope you were able to take at least one thing from today's episode, bring it back to your school to make it better than it is right now. If you're looking to connect with Stephanie, you can do so on our website, principalprinciples.net. You can have her come speak at your school, you can buy her book, and all of those different things. So check her out online. She is awesome. Well, We will be here next time, as always, with another awesome guest. So we'll see you next time on the School Success Podcast. We'll see you then.